All right, something else we're talking about, too, we've been talking about over the last few days, is this whole situation going on in the Gulf right now where you have Kenneth Feinberg now drawing lines in the sand, if you will, maybe being tougher on those who wish to file claims against BP than what we originally thought might happen.
Well, this is the job from hell, if you ask me.
It's not, well, it's not easy, and also you got to know there's a lot of fraud here.
That's what I'm saying.
Steve Yerrid joins us right now. He's special counsel on oil spill matters to Governor Crist down in Florida. Steve, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to be here.
All right, well, real quickly, if you could just sort of paint out the 2 or 3 biggest issues right now that we're having, because I think most people around the country would say, if Ken Feinberg is being tough, as long as he's being thorough, I don't necessarily have a problem with being tough. He's going to prevent fraud, and he's going to pay those who deserve to be paid.
No question about it. I mean, there's going to be fraudulent claims. There's abuse in every system. Ken Feinberg has a great track record. 9/11, Virginia Tech. He's not a new kid on the block. He'll do very well in that regard. What troubles me most was the initial outline of what the idea was. That is a $20 billion fund, which wouldn't be capped. In essence, if the damages exceeded the $20 billion, it would be replenished by the wrongdoers. That seems to have gone away. The other aspect that we're just now getting, which seems to be a Ken Feinberg nuance, is that there may be finality with the claims. In essence, if you make a claim for a long-term loss, you walk away with a release being signed and your legal rights extinguished. Those are 2 aspects that we weren't clear on, and certainly I was convinced it was the other way around. There would be no cap, and the legal system would remain intact.
Right, because what he's saying is if you're coming to me for money and I pay you out, you cannot then go back and try to sue BP again. Basically, he's saying you're double dipping.
Well, really, Tracy, what that creates is a problem for us here in Florida because, as you know, there's a great debate now. You know, Mother Nature didn't really take care of this oil spill. There's still oil plumes out in the Gulf of Mexico.
Right.
The determination of damages is the most troubling aspect. I mean, how do you ask for something when you don't really know what it is? So there's a premature aspect to this. We, as a state of Florida, do not know fully what our damages are. Therefore, we really can't seek permanent damages in a sense of finality. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, and the other part about that is you don't know the environmental extent of the environmental damages because we've just never seen anything like this before. You also don't know the extent geographically, and my understanding is now you might have somebody in whether it's Clearwater, Florida, whatever the case may be, a hotel owner who says, look, I was going to have a convention here, I lost vacationers because they lumped everything in with Florida and said, I'm not going to Florida at all, even though I'm miles and hundreds of miles away from where the spill might impact. This is going to be very difficult for Feinberg to determine this.
Well, I don't think Feinberg really is equipped or ready to make that determination because that has to do with proximate cause. And as you've pointed out, it's much easier black and white. Oil on the beach, hotel suffers, hotel gets paid. Beach in Clearwater or Naples, Florida has a convention booked. The people that are going to book the convention tell the hotel, we're moving our site to California because we don't want the perception of our conventioneers to be blighted by potential contaminated seafood, potential oil on the beach or tar balls. So we're going to move our convention. That loss is clearly caused by the spill. Is that a Feinberg-defined loss? I doubt it, not from what I'm hearing. So, and the bigger aspect with regard to the state of Florida is there is no geographic impact. If the panhandle tax revenue diminishes, it will affect all taxpayers throughout the state of Florida. And our property valuations, I mean, I heard the other segment, you talk about buying homes, have some of those foreign investors come to the panhandle. I understand there's a lot of condos for sale.
Yeah, no joke. Okay, but so now let's talk about when you should actually be filing for one of these claims. You have 3 years, right, from the spill to get your claim in. Doesn't it make the most sense to wait this out? Even though I understand so many businesses need the money today, but you just don't know the extent of your damages right now.
Well, Tracy, I'm a trial lawyer, as you know, and one of the things we always caution clients with regard to settlement is to make sure there's a full awareness of what the extent of the damages are, because there's only a one-shot deal.
Yeah.
And one of the things I worry about is, you know, for the people that don't have the luxury of waiting, the people that have lost their jobs or their livelihood or the small business owners, they've got to file, and they've got to file now. With regard to the sovereign, what we floated, and we've talked with the White House and we've talked with our congressional delegation, we floated the idea that there be a dialogue for a sovereign fund that is the coastal states claiming not in competition with the mom and pop stakeholders, but claiming as a sovereign, because the effect and the impact is far different than those of the individuals.
Steve Yerrid, thank you so much for your insight. Very interesting stuff. We're going to keep our eyes on it.
Our hands are full down here, believe me.
I'm sure. Thank you, Steve.
Enjoyed the show.
Special Counsel
so
on the oil
Steve.
spill matters to Governor Crist down there in Florida. And obviously, they've got their hands full. They got primary elections going on as well in Florida, among other
Just
things.
so people know, so emergency payments must be submitted through November 23rd, and you do have 3 years to file for a lump sum final damage payment. It is important that people do what they're supposed to do. But you know what? Someone on the boards just wrote, it's interesting that they're trying to convince you that if you take this deal, it's better than going after BP. And you know what? You just don't know, and it's unfair to make a statement like that.
And maybe it is. I mean, you don't have to worry about your legal fees. You don't have to worry about waiting years to be paid, like we saw with Exxon. I mean, we're talking even decades at some point in time. You get your money up front, and as you said, these are businesses that are operating, you know, on month-to-month basis. They got to make payments. Everyone's been saying, look, I got to make payments on my boat or on my warehouse or what have you. Now you have the opportunity to do that.
But as Steve said, you don't want to cut yourself short either.
Rolling the dice. You're rolling the dice that the environmental impact won't be worse than you think it is, or than Ken Feinberg or the BP thinks it is, in warranting the payments.
Speaking of the environment, tell me what caught your eye.
I will, and it has to do with the environment. It has